Welcome to You the People. In this program, we will provide you with interviews and information from and about the people who affect your lives. Our program may include conversations with candidates, elected or appointed officials, town department heads, and more. We will delve into the kitchen table issues that make a difference in our towns and region. I'm your host, Julie Thompson. Let's get started. So pleased once again to welcome Joan Meschino, who is the state rep for the 3rd Plymouth District, which is Hingham, Hull, and Cohasset. Welcome.
Always great to be here with you.
Always good to catch up with you. Lots to talk about.
Yes, it's been very busy.
I bet. You're always busy. The committees are starting to have hearings on the Hill, on the bills that have been filed. What does that look like for you, and how can non-legislative people follow what's going on with the bills?
Oh, what a great question. So, as you all know, with the top of the session, we filed bills. God help us, 7,000 plus bills got filed this session. Yes.
Wow.
And every single one of them will get assigned to a committee and will get a hearing. So now that the budget process has wrapped up on our side and things are in conference, we have jumped to all of the hearings in earnest. And it has been extremely busy. I would say that there's probably at least 2, 3, sometimes 4 or 5 hearings every single day at the State House. Wow. And what the really great thing is now everything is online. You can always come in person on the bills that are of interest to you. You can always testify. You can always write in written testimony.
Yep.
But now you can also follow along online, and you can actually register to testify online. And the great thing is now that we've improved the website, it is night and day since when I was first elected. You can actually go on to malegislature.gov.
Yep.
There's a star up, I think it's on the right-hand side, and you can click on that, create an account, and you can follow bills that are
you can
of
put in your
interest
favorite
to
bills
you.
and follow them. Yeah,
yes.
And get updates.
And then you'll get updates and notices anytime something happens in the process.
Perfect.
So it's really facilitated a lot of engagement, which
That's
is really
great.
great.
And the more people understand how the process works, the better. Of the 7,000 bills, you're saying every single one of them has to have a hearing?
Yep.
Every single one of those 7,000. Wow.
Yes.
That's a lot of hearings.
Yes, that is a lot of hearings. And there's some really big committees there. So like, for example, Judiciary, I think, is the biggest committee of all of them. And so they tend to have, so they've had some really long hearings lately. I'm on committees like Consumer Protection and Professional Licensure. It's another big one. They'll probably have about 12 or 13 hearings throughout the session.
Right.
So pretty much every other Monday. I've been in the city for hearings.
Yeah.
And for House members, you have to go and participate in person, and it's a great time to listen and to hear and to keep your finger on the pulse of what the themes and the trends are, but also what people care about and are concerned about.
And how often does testimony change the actual bill itself?
Oh, when you file a bill, the text of the bill, that is just a beginning point.
It's like the draft.
That's the draft. That is the starting point. And then advocates and lobbyists and regular people will put in all of their feedback, and you will, as a legislator, as a bill author, you work with the committee first to try to engage interest and get people moving and excited, because it has to be timely, it has to be relevant, but it also has to be well vetted. And so then you work with the chair and the committee staff on the House and the Senate sides to really improve, and no bill gets passed the way it's first written.
That's what I figured.
It's a starting point. And so your testimony absolutely does
matters.
I'll give you a great example. Consumer Protection, we had a hearing on how to update the laws around repairing wheelchairs. Now, you wouldn't think in a million years that would be a subject matter, but in fact, actually how it gets reimbursed and who can do it, and it's very complicated. And so there was really an amazing hearing where they had 90 people come talk about what it means to be disabled and in a wheelchair, and how that really equates to freedom, to your freedom of movement, and to being able to work, being able to get to the shower,
all
of it. So, and people really heard what they needed to, and that has a great impact on how that bill will be shaped and whether or not it can move.
That's a perfect example. So the summer is a very interesting and busy time for you, and you always have interns. So
Yes.
talk to me about that process. Who do you have?
Oh, it was very competitive this year. A lot of interest from the district. So we have 2 college students, and I have to say, one of the gentlemen is from Hingham, and so smart, so energized, so excited about everything. And we really, I love bringing the interns in because they're a fresh face, they have a fresh perspective. It's really great to hear what our youth and young adults are interested in, what projects they want to do. So we always have summer interns. And this year we also have 2 high school students with us as well.
Great.
We do a smaller internship with them because, obviously there's a lot of family things going on and things
Sure.
like that. But it's been wonderful to have them there. And the way we do it is we bring them in. We sort of open up the books and say, here's the themes, here's the topics that we're working on. And I'll tell you, they come with great ideas.
Right.
I let them sort of self-direct what they would like for their projects, and then we do the research. The other really great part about it is the House of Representatives puts together a speakers series. And so they really do get an opportunity to hear from a huge range of people, whether they work in the State House or they're legislators or they were staffers or they're lobbyists or leadership.
Right.
Lieutenant Governor and the Governor will come and address them as well. And it's a really great way to just hear about what career paths are that have led to them. They really make a very diverse speaker group. So they really try to give a lot of perspective and insights. And so they're having a great time. And then keep an eye out. We will do a district day.
Okay.
And in the past we've done things like go and volunteer at Holly Hill Farms at Cohasset, or tour say the Historic Society Museum. So we really try the Hull Life Saving Museum in Hull. We really try to get around the district and so that they can see that the work
And the engagement.
is at the local level.
Right. And
that's the work of it.
And civic engagement with young people is something that's so critical to foster this.
That's right.
Because we need more and more of that.
Oh, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
And I think people forget, it's representative government, right? So the district is the lens. I mean, there's so many fascinating things going on in the State House. You could just spend all your time up there and work on it. But the things that we work on in our office are things that are meaningful to the district, but that leaves a lot of room. So they've just started. I don't know what their projects are going to be yet, but we're pretty excited.
Great.
Yeah.
Ferry service. Talk about ferry service. Are there any changes this summer?
I'm excited to tell everyone. So the summer service is back. It has already begun, but more to the point, the full schedule during the weekdays is also back, and the ridership numbers are back at pre-pandemic highs. So everybody has come back.
Yeah.
It looks a little different because our work schedule and our work week has changed a bit. But the ridership is strong and everything is solid. A couple of nice things have happened since the pandemic, and we all remember how they tried to kill the ferries. But what we've been able to do is they have now designated someone at the MBTA specifically responsible for ferries. They are looking at it from a systemic perspective, and they are making investments. So I'm sure everyone in Hingham knows about the new pier that the MBTA is building at the shipyard. They're also working with Hull on its commuter ferry. But even more importantly, they've restored service, at least during the summers for now, back in Quincy, because we're really advocating to try to restore service back to Massports, make it a little easier to get there too.
Yeah.
But probably the single biggest thing that they've done is I finally persuaded them to conduct a water transportation study so they can really look at what the opportunities are to grow it, and as they're putting these investments in place, they're not going to be able to just zero line item us out ever again. So this is really,
you want to expand this.
We want to expand this.
The more availability, I think the ridership would just double or triple.
I'm telling you,
it would.
And that's exactly what's happened. You give it a modicum, you make it convenient, and everybody comes flocking back. So it's pretty
Nobody
exciting.
wants to drive in.
No.
If they could take the ferry, that's okay. What a great option. Good for you.
And Hingham is riding. Hingham's riding. It's great.
Yay, Hingham. The House of Reps wrapped up the budget process in May.
Yes.
How did that go?
You know, actually,
can you make a statement about the budget process?
So it's funny. There's part of me who loves to debate, but there's a tremendous amount of work, and it actually starts in the summer. So right around like August, September, they will actually start working on the budget. They build that budget. It's always a consensus revenue figure, so we always know what the end amount is because it has to be balanced.
Yep.
And there's a tremendous amount of work that goes into it, and that leads to what actually gets filed. The governor will give her State of the Commonwealth speech. She drops her budget. The House looks at it first because all money bills start in the House of Representatives. Mm-hmm. And we voted what I thought was a really good budget in April. Honestly, it's a budget that invests in our economy, in services, and people.
Yep.
And that's why I think we have continued to stay strong and very forward-looking.
Yep.
And you hear Governor Healy talk a lot about competitiveness. So once we're done with it, it goes to the Senate, where our Senate colleagues improve upon it. And right now, they've voted their budget, so it's in conference committee.
Okay.
If it doesn't come out by July 1st, don't worry. We always do what's called a 1/12 budget. They know what the monthly spend is.
Right. So you'll have enough to at least pay your bills
right.
for a month
Yes.
at a time.
Cash flow is not a problem.
Yeah. Okay.
Everything goes forward. There's some differences, but honestly, it'll be a good budget.
Is there any impact on what you receive from the federal government to the budget this year as opposed to other years?
Yeah, so that's always the open question. I think it's something like $16 billion comes into the state for operational money, $9 billion of which is Health and Human Services, which is important for our district. We have a lot of seniors that rely on a lot of things like Mass Health and Medicaid and things like that. Right now, that is an unknown question.
Okay.
So the way we've been working on it has been, obviously, we track everything very closely. Yep. And I just gave one example. It could be transportation. It could be, there's a lot of things where we intersect and are supported by the federal government. So what we're doing is we're staying the course. Mm-hmm. We're not looking at it as business as usual. So there was a level of caution in terms of spending and things like that, and very much infused, at least the debate on the House side of things. But our revenues remain strong,
right?
Pretty static, but strong. And so we're going to stay the course and see, and then just we'll respond as we need to.
If you have to.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
You held a webinar recently with the Nature Conservancy around your Natural and Working Lands Bill.
Yes.
What is the Natural and Working Lands Bill?
So most simply stated, it is the bill that is going to help us conserve natural and working lands. And that's everything from Western Mass and the old forests right to the coast and the East Coast and to our salt marshes and our watersheds. Okay. And the idea is there's a real confluence of things that's coming together right now. A real focus on resilience to climate change and sustainability. Very much looking at environmental health and how the environment can support and help us with the worst, of climate change and the impacts. But also for biodiversity and sort of environmental health and access for people, both for passive and active recreations. And then, of course, as carbon sequestration as part of the mitigation. So there's this real confluence of interests and focus right now on the state level and on the municipal level. So the bill itself is a way of justifying the conservation of lands, of documenting how much we need. And I think for climate change, it's like we need maybe another 100,000 acres statewide to hit our climate change goals. But we also need to be thinking about all these other issues. So it's a time when it would give us a mechanism that would support municipalities in a decision to conserve as opposed a decision to build.
Okay, and I think every municipality really kind of struggles with that.
Yeah.
Conserving land, keeping open space versus bringing in the tax dollars that you know, that businesses
Right.
or new houses can
Right.
generate. So it's a subject that people really need to do a deep dive on because it is so diversified. The subject
Well,
itself.
yes, and we have a lot of competing interests. So, you know, for us, like in Hingham, think about how do we preserve lands around watersheds,
Right.
right? And this is, you know, Hingham, Hull, and Cohasset have always been very interested in land conservancy, and when you think of the work that you've done, this is just a mechanism to maybe provide some funding to municipalities. It's a mechanism to justify you know, conserving land as opposed at a time when there's a real call for building.
Right.
And it's really about how you balance.
And that's
it's how you balance those things.
That's the tough thing.
Yeah.
You recently testified for one of your bills regarding veteran suicide awareness and remembrance.
Yeah,
I know that's near and dear to you, so talk about that.
Well, it's near and dear to Hingham.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm sure everyone remembers the heartbreak that the Partika family suffered when they lost their son to suicide in the military service. And honestly, that family was so brave. They were able to say it out loud. They want to build awareness. They want to make sure that no other family loses a child to suicide in the service of their country. And the numbers, I should have brought some statistics with me, but the numbers are shocking among both service members and among veterans. So most simply stated, this is an effort to build awareness, both among the service members themselves, veterans themselves. Ask for help.
Right.
There are services out there for you, but also family members and friends who are close to people and will see signs, but then also the public to make sure that we're really doing everything we can for both our service members as well as our veterans. So it was really, Senator O'Connor and I both testified jointly. We testified in front of the committee to really push this bill. And we're proposing that September 22nd would be just the Veteran Suicide Awareness Day. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And with awareness, right, then you can build a case for
Yeah.
additional services and things like
Great.
that. So, yeah.
Good for you. Something that absolutely needs to be done.
Honestly, this good for the Partikas for saying it out loud and caring enough and being brave enough to say, here's what needs to be done.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And you recently also had the first Military Appreciation Day in the State House, speaking of the military.
Yes.
Who did you nominate for that, and what kind of programs?
Oh, yes, Andy Wohar from Hull. He is a wonderful, wonderful, long-time Hull resident veteran. He is the guy who no job is too big, no job is too small in service of the veterans, but also in service of just in the community. It was the first time they did it, and honestly, it was a wonderful, wonderful event where they went through every single nominee and had a few little remarks about each of the person, because you have to write something up when you nominate them. And he and I got to spend the day together, and it was really a very uplifting moment. And isn't it a great idea to actually honor our service members now? We always think about them when they've passed.
Yeah,
and everyone
no,
always
absolutely.
Tells them. But these are people who were prepared to commit and actually made that commitment to the military, and then they come back to the community, and it's the same kind of commitment to our country. I mean, these are people who love their community, love the country.
That's right. That's another great initiative.
And actually, we also have another one coming up. The Status and the Commission of Women has a Commonwealth heroine every year. And this year we nominated Deirdre Anderson from the Hingham Historical Society.
Wonderful.
Oh, she's just so fantastic.
She's thrilled.
Well, it took a little persuading because for Andy too, he was like, really?
Yeah.
It's like, yes, really. And we had to do a little persuading for Deirdre too. But, again, another one, always in service of the community.
Right. And people who do that generally don't want,
they don't want the
they don't want the
they
kudos.
Don't want the accolades.
They just want to do it.
But we thought it was important. So we're uplifting Andy because of his military background, but we're uplifting Deirdre in this moment too because of Mass 250 and the celebration, and when you think about all of the work that she's doing to really uplift. So again, it all ties back, and get a great district and so many fabulous people.
And you clearly love your job.
I do. I love my job.
I'm curious about a very small but important bill about vehicle surcharges. Can you briefly do that? Because I want to save some time for the community media bill.
Oh, sure.
So what is vehicle surcharges, which is H1219?
So everybody out there that drives knows if you get in a little fender bender and you go and you try to fix whatever was wrong. Used to be, for those of us who are of a certain age, you just go to the shop and they'd bang out the dent or whatever.
Yep.
And for a few dollars on a minor thing that was really no big deal, you could just go on your merry way. Well, now, because of how vehicles are built and the materials that they use and how high labor costs are, which we want people to get paid, but what happens is it becomes much more complicated. And so what used to be just a little fender bender is now like upwards of $4, $5, $6 grand, and the threshold for minor accidents is so low that you hit it like that.
And what happens when you hit that?
You get a
surcharge from the registry.
For 7 years. And so the surcharges were always there to try to incentivize people to drive safely. But now it's not serving that public purpose.
And some people think of it as what step are you? You're like, I'm a step 99, I'm a step whatever. It shows on your insurance, and it's either a credit or a debit, depending on how many surcharges you've had.
That's right. Yeah. So now what happens is, instead of driving good public policy to incentivize people to be safe drivers, everybody just gets it for the strangest little ding that you had. Yeah. And so people are not repairing cars. Right. That's not good. That's not safe. And the insurance company is just making more money that they really aren't entitled to, because if they think they're entitled to it, they should be doing that through setting the rates for your insurance. Yeah. So we're looking to
show
pop
on
it up.
Insurance too.
We should honestly
on both home, flood, and auto, because the industry itself is in trouble.
Right. It is, and they're trying to make money. We want everyone to make money, but this isn't working. So we've suggested that we pop that up to $5 grand. And actually, one of my colleagues from Worcester, Representative Keefe, actually filed a bill to eliminate the surcharges altogether and to start to revision how things might work. So maybe we'll have a guest.
Yeah, maybe we need an overhaul in the whole system.
But we got to start taking care of people. Everything is so expensive.
Yeah,
and
it is.
That's really the thing. Is sometimes it's just these small things that can help help people.
Okay, so let's talk about the update on the bill that you have filed and been involved with for so long to support community media funding. Yes. Which is, we called it the streaming bill, because cable television revenues are going away as people cut the cord. And the whole idea was to replace that revenue with a little bit of the streaming companies also contributing.
Right. Exactly.
Where does it stand?
So right now, as hopefully everyone knows, we did get a favorable report out of the committee last year, which was a huge win. These are smaller but impactful bills, but it's hard to get people's attention. So that was a huge win. And what we ended up doing was refiling the same language so that the committee would recognize it, start from where we left off. And we've been having really good conversations with them. The hearing should be we expect it to be mid-July, although we don't have a firm date yet, but we'll certainly let you guys know. And what we're asking people to do is to reach out to their state representatives. For those of you from Norwell, Rep. DeCoste is a huge fan of this, so he already knows about it. Senator O'Connor is also very supportive of that. But people really need to let both their select boards know, school committees, anybody that's really using these services, because this is how you do transparency in government. This is trusted sources of information. Actually, it's like fantastic programming for like arts and sports and culture.
Everything. It's hyper local.
And as we all know, those little town papers are going away. And there's really not much in them anymore.
No, there isn't.
So,
I testified in front of your committee 2 years ago.
You did a great job.
Thank you. And when I worked at PAC TV down in Plymouth, which is now the local scene, and there wasn't anyone in either committee, Senate or House, that didn't agree with the premise of, yes, community media should be funded. unfortunately, the towns can't afford it.
No.
The state can't afford it. So the original form of funding, which was cable bills, and it's just, can we transfer that over to what people are paying for streaming? Can streaming bills be part of it?
The same, those companies should also be paying in. It's not fair to just make the cable bills, and people are migrating over to things like streaming services. Right? We stream here, right?
Yeah.
So we should be keeping up with technology. We should be keeping up, and those companies, they're making a lot of money off of us.
Right.
They should be paying into our local systems. They really should be. And it's not that much money for these companies that are making, just gazillions of dollars. Yes, Disney can afford to do this. It's fine. Max can afford to do this.
So if it passes, if this bill passes and it says, okay, streaming companies that have customers in Massachusetts, you have to now.
Right. So
what happens then?
So what they'll do is they'll be notified that any money they make on customers in Massachusetts, they need to report to DOR, and they need to pay a surcharge of 5%, which is exactly the same thing that the cable does now.
Right.
So it's the same. It's very consistent. We're just updating the existing law as to who pays in, and it's really meant to keep pace with technology, right? Because we want innovation. We don't want to squash that, and so that'll come into the state, and then instead of negotiating city by city like we do now, what we'll just do is we'll say you pay into the state, and then the state will put it out. Per capita. They'll distribute it across the Commonwealth per capita.
Is it according to how many residents you have?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So, and the one other, I know the one...
which is essentially the way it is now.
It's done now, right. It's because if you have a cable box in your house, you're surcharged for that cable box. Right. Yeah. The problem with streaming, though, is a lot of people, you get it through the internet. You don't necessarily have to have a box to get it. And that has always been the kind of the gray area.
That's what they argue.
Like I share my Netflix with a relative in California. I pay just a little extra.
Yep.
But so that's...
Yeah. Well, don't forget, these are also the companies that are mining your private data.
Oh, sure.
And are figuring out where you're driving when you're using, Google Maps, and they're saying, oh, by the way, Joan, you're driving by a Starbucks. You can get coffee there. Yeah. And it's like, how do you know I want coffee, and how do you know where I am? And so, these are very sophisticated companies. Right. They are already tracking not only your data, but your location. Everything. They can figure out. Sure. It's not a problem for them to figure out who they're billing and where they're making their money. And and we're trying to, listen, I don't want to make life complicated for big corporate. It's very simple.
Right.
And if they can appeal it if they think it's wrong. We can go after them if they think they're not paying. It's a very simple bill, but it comes into the state, into the same fund that all of the money from the cable companies goes to now, and it would just be distributed very simply and equitably to make things simpler.
And if this did happen and did actually pass and it did go through, when do you think that the cities and towns that have access centers could?
They usually
hope for.
Usually, we in the legislature they'll give a minimum of 90 days before something goes into effect. I would think they would need more like 180 days, right? Because you have to give out notices. You need to give people time to build in their proper processes and things like that. This isn't a gotcha game. This is a serious contribution of. You're using our public rights of way, right? And you are reaching our Massachusetts consumers and customers.
You're making money off them.
You're making a lot of money off of us.
So give a tiny bit back.
And you can give a tiny bit back.
Yeah,
so it's really that basic.
Community media centers can stay doing what they're doing and expand their services.
And expand.
Which is really what all of us want to do at the hyper-local level. There's so much more we could do.
Right. Yeah. We already made this choice, years ago that we're doing pay TV, right? That's it.
Yep.
We switched over from,
it was free.
It was free. You had your antennas. We've all as little kids had to stand there and hold it and move it.
Yeah.
But we switched over to pay for TV, and this is just a new iteration of that model. And honestly, the money that has come in through the cable companies has created such a vibrant ecosystem.
Yeah.
Here we are sitting in the middle of Harvard Media,
Yep.
and not only are you interviewing a state representative, and I'm sure you'll interview Senator O'Connor, and I'm sure you do the local officials, but you're going to actually train the
Right.
next generation of
Right.
producers and directors and
Exactly.
content providers. I mean, really, it's
Yeah.
amazing what a few pennies
Yep.
on the dollar
Can do.
can do.
Yep.
It's the power of aggregating it, and it's
So
really,
we're all for it.
oh my gosh, yes. And
All right.
and I'll be presenting with Michelle Barconi they're having a big conference
Yes.
here in Boston. So
Right.
I'll be presenting with Michelle Barconi on whether or not we should regionalize, and I'll
Yeah.
be presenting with David Gauthier from Mass Access on whether
You've
how
been
this
such
works.
a friend to the community media.
Oh, I'm determined.
community.
We're doing this.
Oh, I know.
And it's not that, it's a modest amount of money, but
Yeah.
we need it to stay so that we continue to thrive.
And we shall. And we're out of time. So thank you so much. Till we see you next time. Thank you, Joan Meschino.
Delighted
And this
to be
has been
here.
Julie Thompson. And have a good day.